Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
I know I'm not emotionally prepared. I am chaos.
But there's going to be unicorn rides.
I know.
Yeah, well, that's what the map promises. I must say, I did quite a lot of ambitious planning and prep for this game last weekend. And then since Tuesday of this week, I have done jack shit. So, it's like, do I remember what I planned?
Wait, we can take baths? We can take
Do I-
baths at the fest?
Do I understand my notes? Anything could happen, really. But we intended for it to be like relaxed and casual, so whatever. This is just fun, right? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I must. Okay, so we've got the bee rides. Should we be scared of those bees? or are they like? I'm sorry. I'm getting too distracted by the Honeyfest map here.
It's not like we are the guys from Critical Role.
We are not.
No, we're
Absolutely not. And if I attempt accents at any point during this game, they're going to be terrible. And in the middle of like a paragraph, as I'm speaking, my accent will change dramatically from the start to the finish of the sentences. So, yeah, it's not that great, but it's fun theoretically. Theoretical fun,
That's what we're here for.
hypothetical fun. I'm just like, okay, I tweeted that this exists. Am I in the right chat for you guys posting gifs in Discord? That's very important.
Oh, that's a good point. Hang on. It'd be D&D.
In the D&D, the last thing I see is a chicken. I'm sure that is significant for some reason. I do not remember why.
Well, something to do with an owlbear, I think. Something.
Okay, Kim has
Something
added a cool cat. All right, let's go. I'm trying to remember what else I need to do. I can't remember what else I need to do. Oh, did I turn off? Let me check one thing. Oh, maybe I should reveal. Okay, I've had as an AFK screen up, I've had the Honeyfest map that you guys see as the background in Fantasy Grounds.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe I should say that I used a lot of resources from 2 Minute Tabletop this time around, which I haven't done before, but they were great and fun to make this map. Not that anyone cares, because after all, 2.5 people watching. I need to switch back to actual Fantasy Grounds so they can see what we're doing rather than just see that screen the entire stream. So we're all we're all physically, if not emotionally prepared. I was about to lie. Let's see. You're all playing characters that we did like a 4 session game back in August, September of last year. That was in the Forgotten Realms, in the region of the High Forest, and we're bringing them back, picking up where we left off at that. So when last we met you, both Yelena, who is, well, I don't know, maybe you guys want to introduce yourselves or like what you remember about your characters, if you remember anything.
I remember Yelena is a half-elf ranger with some Fae connections to the Fae world. That is really about all I remember.
Okay. What I remember we did establish last time is that your mother is part of the court of the Summer Queen in the Feywild.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You do not have a close relationship with her.
Right.
Her name is Melania.
Of course.
And I guess you're mainly raised by your father in on this side of things. But periodically you did visit the Feywild growing up. And as a consequence, you're Fey touched. You smell like lavender, which happens to be your name in Sylvan.
Nice.
And you have a vest with lots of pockets. It's really cool.
And it's green.
It's green.
Light green.
You really like the color
very
green.
Cool.
Green is big to you.
That's right.
Now, Kai, what do you remember about yourself? Or what are you willing to share? Because you had some mysteries.
I'm a caster. That's what I remember. With some drow background, yes.
Mm-hmm. But you look like a high elf.
Yes.
So you're kind of a half elf, but both halves are elves.
Right.
So you're still an elf. It's very confusing. And I can't remember. Oh, you're very into holidays.
Yes, holidays. I know what holidays are.
And you may not be completely familiar with the calendar around here, but since Honeyfest has been presented to you as a holiday, as some holiday thing the surface world does, you're like, oh yeah, this is pretty cool. It's in your wheelhouse.
Yes. Oh, this is a bee race. I do like to gamble, apparently.
Oh yeah, you do like to gamble.
Yeah,
That's gotten you into a little bit of trouble at times.
it has.
And
a
we
lot.
barely played, and you got into trouble once from gambling.
Yeah.
So that should be helpful. That should bode well for the rest of this game.
Yeah.
And Terel,
Well, I thought I was a fighter, and I've just discovered this evening that I'm a paladin.
you are a paladin.
But I know that I'm human. I have a kind of fighting background, so I used to work for a local lord, and I know that my family's very big on nature.
Yeah, your family is part of a druid circle.
That's it. But I was working for a local lord because I didn't have that inclination towards the druidy stuff, and then he died, and his son did something that I considered sacrilegious. Would that be the right word?
There was a tree. You come from a town named Oakshield.
Yes,
And
that was it.
there was a large oak tree that was revered in the village that the Druid Grove, the circle that your family belonged to and that you kind of raised around, considered sacred. And there was a dryad that lived in it. And the local lord, the new one that picked up, threatened to cut this tree down to make a new feast table in his dining hall. And you
That
were
was it.
and stood up to him, and it eventually resulted in his death at your hands.
Yes.
The dryad who lived in the tree in question gave you a golden acorn as a thank you, or as kind of like, you've done great service to me as a creature of nature kind of thing. And you did encounter during our last adventure that acorn protected you from potentially losing your memory as you traveled to and from the Feywild.
Huh. That I didn't put in my notes.
So that did happen multiple times. And you
Cool.
also have tried to plant that golden acorn in different patches of dirt over the years, but it has never taken seed.
Okay.
So those are two things about the acorn. I think one of them is in the notes about the acorn.
Missed that then on my skim.
But what else? Oh, but because you had that thing where you killed the local lord, you kind of had to escape, and I don't even know if Terel's your real name. But at some point later, you did work in an army in Silvery Moon. You kind of fought 10 years ago. There was a war defending against orcs in the north, and you were part of the forces in Silvery Moon defending against that. So that's somewhere in your history.
Okay.
But that was 10 years ago, whatever.
All right.
So I think I think you do have you understand a little bit of Orcish, not fluent, but some conversational curse words and such.
Okay.
And then you're also obsessed with personal hygiene.
Yes.
Oh, and your god is Maliki. Maliki. I think I'm saying that right. Maleke.
You've got a better idea than I have.
But she's kind of like a goddess of nature, and
Mhm.
her
I feel like
symbol.
Yelena's background is very scant compared to everybody else's. I feel very bad.
I went off on a
No,
kick.
no.
Do you have background too? I think. I just haven't gone into it as much. I kind of condensed it more.
Okay. Okay, if you've written it, good.
Just like Kai has way more background than we talked about.
Oh yes.
But I think I'm refreshing Terel's a little bit more because it actually took place in and around the High Forest. Whereas Kai's background took place mainly in the Underdark, so it's farther away. Your background, some of it took place in the Feywild, so it's not so immediate. Whereas Terel's is more in the region. So it might matter that Grimm actually knows who she is. I think there was something else and I can't remember. It can't be important if I can't remember it now.
It'll come up.
It'll be a surprise later.
Yeah.
But from those backgrounds, well, Yelena and Terel, both of you kind of over in your histories, recent histories, kind of have formed associations with the group known as the Emerald Enclave. Their mantle is to protect nature, but also find ways in which nature and civilization and cities, etc., can work together in a way that protects nature, but also, allows people to coexist and stuff. And then, as part of being part of the Emerald Enclave, maybe you're on the lookout for unnatural things like aberrations and the undead. And sometimes the higher ups will uh, send you off on missions to go and look into things for the Emerald Enclave. And one of those missions was to come to this town of Ruchvert that is to the southwest fringes of the High Forest, just outside the High Forest. It's a very small farming village, agrarian lifestyle, and it's not a particularly old village, but you were sent here to investigate the bees were missing from the town. And the town has an agrarian economy, but it's very much based upon products involving bees, a lot of apiary going on, a lot of beekeeping. They only grow crops that rely on bees pollinating things. So when the bees went missing for months, a crisis was kind of developing because they were having to hand pollinate everything. And as the summer passed into fall, they were very concerned that the next set of crops that would get them through winter and everything, that there wouldn't be problems going forward and that the village wouldn't starve as a consequence. So you were sent for, you arrived in Ruchvert, and you met with the kind of ad hoc leader of the village. The locals call him an arbiter, but it's not an elected position. And his name is Drusel, an elf who you gathered from your encounters with him, has a very big sweet tooth. He has a little bit of a punch, very colorful, and he also dabbles in alchemy. Now, Kai, he's not really necessarily a native of Ruchvert. He's actually a native of other parts, but most recently had come from the Underdark where he'd gotten lost, and he'd wandered to the surface about 6 months prior to you meeting him. And Ruchvert was the closest village to where he wandered out. And I kind of put makeshift days in the calendar because, me being obsessed about things that are not actually important to us playing D&D whatsoever, but still doing it. But there is like a little timeline of Kai wandering out of Kai getting lost, Kai wandering out of the forest, Kai finding Ruchvert, Kai meeting you guys. So Drusel told Kai, it was basically telling Kai to do stuff. That, hey, you need to earn your keep, because Kai's not a farmer. Kai likes to gamble. Kai likes to, I don't know, sit around in the inn and just stay out of the sun and not do much of anything. Oh, there was something in your background about when you studied magic, you studied with your uncle. I don't remember what was going on with your uncle or anything, how that relationship was left, but that's where you've learned most of the magic that you know.
Yes. Oh no, it was like Kai was sent to his uncle because of all the trouble he'd got into.
You were problematic.
Yeah.
And your mother is a scheming kind of person.
Yeah.
Sometimes she gets involved in things and it becomes uncomfortable. And sometimes you get drug along when you're around living with your mother. Sometimes, her scheming would get you into situations, but you get yourself into your own situations as well.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you inherited that from someone.
Maybe
It's your own thing, nature versus nurture. But Kai was introduced to these two missives. These I don't remember what the actual rank is called. Something like I don't remember. I have it written down somewhere. But like I said, I've done crappy prep, so I don't remember half the stuff that I wrote about you guys before. You have some kind of low ranking in the Emerald Enclave.
It'll come back to us.
It'll come back. We'll get around to it eventually, like 5 months from now. But you have, you're not highly ranked. You're like trusted, but you're not like trusted with the really big stuff. But like they trust you enough that they don't assume that you're going to completely fuck everything up. So that you have enough trust that like they can get the job done. They can look into these things. They have some sense and some wisdom to make good choices. At least that's what they know about Yelena and Terel. They don't know Kai at all.
Apparently, Kai's second in line for the throne of Rayam.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Just casually throws that in there.
Yeah, it's coming back to me now.
Oh yeah. That's like that's in another plane of existence. That's like another universe.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ryum, that's an Eberron. But yeah, you can casually like drop, oh hey, yeah, I'm royalty. Because that's your background, right? Is being an heir.
Yeah.
That's how Yelena and Terel know Kai. Is like Kai was like, okay, earn your keep. You got to help them investigate the missing bees, and quit being a bum at the inn. So you investigated the missing bees. You found out that it was actually a queen bee from the Feywild had gotten loose. That someone mischievous, a satyr named Lufkin, had mischievously opened a portal, let the bee into the material plane, or into the Forgotten Realms, into the High Forest. And the bee, being potent, larger than your average queen bee, sent out pheromones, sucked in all the bees from like miles radius surrounding the area, and was producing offspring, and was just generally like kind of getting ready to starve for appropriate pollen and food to feed its new little brood of hatchlings. And you sorted that situation out. It took a couple weeks. You've been in the town of Ruchvert, the village of Ruchvert, for maybe 2 weeks and some change now. It's been about a 10 days since you wrapped things up by locating the queen bee and sending her back to the Feywild. And because the bees were returning, enthusiasm for Honeyfest. It's a festival that kind of coincides with the change of seasons with Highharvestide. And where previously everyone was very concerned about what was going to happen in the village and whether or not they were going to be starving as the autumn proceeded, everybody is much more hopeful now. They know that things are going to be a little bit tight, and Honeyfest is a bit scaled back this year, but because the bees are back, it's on, baby. They are ready to throw down and have a good time. Maybe it's not like full Coachella or something, but it's gonna be a good time. I don't know, Lilith Fair or something. Is that a good comparison? I don't know.
Lollapalooza.
Lollapalooza, but not like '90s Lollapalooza. It's like now Lollapalooza.
That's right.
Now, in the days leading up to Honeyfest, there were some opportunities and some things presented to you. One was, I said, if any of you wanted to train and become proficient in certain tool sets, you could do so. So there were certain things that Drusel knows, and he could train you in tool sets associated with them, in one of them. So if any of you wanted to train in, become proficient with either alchemist tools, alchemist supplies, an herbalism kit, a healer's kit, or a poisoner's kit, you can. For 50 gold, I think is what I said.
See what my money situation is.
And the assumption would be that over this past 10 day, you have spent. He hasn't been a very hands-on instructor, but he's given you enough lessons that you've become proficient. So now decide if you can afford it. and want to take up any of those proficiencies.
How much was it again? Sorry, 50 gold.
50 gold.
I can afford 50 gold.
I feel like herbalist would make sense for you, Yelena.
Which one? Herbalist?
And I feel like healing would make sense for myself.
I thought it was just one.
Herbalism, healers, alchemy, poisoner.
Alchemy, you think?
I'm pulling out the items because part of this is going to be me giving you the kit. That's what like the 50 gold pays for.
I'm kind of intrigued by the poisoner one too.
Poisoner.
The flip side, the poisoner's kit and the herbalist. I mean,
You would be
flip side.
because you did get a couple poison arrows over the last adventure, and you ran
That's
into
right.
a Feywild plant that is poisonous.
Right.
So you learned a little bit about like, oh yeah, I can make stuff out of poison.
That's right. I think I might do both. How much gold per platinum? Because we've got platinum pieces.
5 platinum or 50 gold.
5 platinum for 50 gold. Okay.
Yeah, so we just knock us on. I think can I just knock 5 plat off rather than the gold then?
5 plat. You're doing healer's kit, right, Terel?
Yes.
I'm going to drag a healer's kit to your inventory.
Ooh.
You're proficient now, which means and I don't know if this is like house rules or what, the way it's supposed to go. But if you use a healer's kit, you can basically do a spare the dying to someone with your healer's kit. And I think it has 10 charges. So
and then can I just buy another then if
and then you can just buy another when you're like in store places. Or you can go through some kind of effort to like put together your own, you know, if you want to crowdsource your healer's kit. So Kai, you were doing herbal? What were you doing? Alchemy?
Alchemy, yeah.
Okay, so alchemy for you. Okay, you have some alchemist supplies now.
Thank you.
I mean, from the outset, that's things like I think you can make healing potions with those too, but I'm not entirely certain. But I know you can make things like alchemist's fire and acid bombs and stuff.
Nice.
And then I don't know, think about imagination kind of stuff as well. And you know that the things that Drusel made for you in the last adventure out of the Feywild flowers, he did that using alchemist supplies.
Okay.
Now, Yelena, were you poison or were you herbalism?
I'm leaning towards trying to do both, depending on how much money we need.
You can do one in the time that we've had so far, but you could do another one at some other point where you have a 10-day of downtime.
We'll be dark and do the poisoner's kit.
Okay. Poison. As I spell it, pisson. Because French and I type poorly. All right, you have a poisoner's kit now. And I'm basically going to say that this gives you like an advantage on survival checks to get poison out of a creature that's poisonous.
Cool.
And then whatever else the poisoner's kit says. And I think there's a complete and different poisoner feat that lets you do even more fancy stuff. But for the sake of like poisoner's kit, I think that's how we're going to play it. So you guys have all trained with Drusel. He basically set you down in the cottage. He offered you lots of snacks periodically. You know, every 2 hours, you just basically brought in more shortbread, brought in more like tea and candies and whatnot and scones, and gave you lessons. But then he'd go off for like 2 hours because he's busy, managing and putting together this Honeyfest. So you got a lot of, it was like taking a class online, but physical. It was that level of teaching expertise. But you have become proficient with your new tools. So everybody's smarter than we were at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Now then Honeyfest started. And while up until the beginning of Honeyfest, your rent at the local inn was comped by the village. By the time Honeyfest started, the things started to get a little bit awkward. there was starting to be this expectation that you need to do something to kind of earn your keep, or you need to start paying to stick around in Ruchvert further. As kind of while you guys were making up your mind and you hadn't received any new instructions from the Emerald Enclave, and Kai is basically just there. Oh, and there was that one thing about Johanna, the woman who runs the local inn, the Queen's Rest in Ruchvert. She's really bad at recognizing faces.
So didn't we get the newcomers deal like every single night or something?
Yeah, you kind of get the newcomer special every single time you run into her, which averages out to paying half what you would expect to pay at any other comparable inn in the world. Because she can't remember that she's already met you guys.
Did we do something with the owlbear baby that was there?
That's
I think
right.
that the owlbear baby, there was this vague conclusion that the owlbear baby's mother might have been killed by the orcs that you ran into during an encounter.
Right.
There were some followers of Malar that you ran into. Oh, no, I won't mention it. If you guys don't remember, I'm not going to say anything. When you talk to that owlbear using Speak with Animals. And
Yeah.
the owlbear was not familiar with her father. I think the owlbear's name was Sprinkles because she had a problem with peeing inside. You house trained it, or you trained the owlbear to potty near the privy rather than inside during our last adventure. Does that ring a bell?
Yelena, yeah. Yelena have some sort of animal speaking ability.
Yeah, there was some talking.
That's right.
There was some
We did.
talking with the owlbear about things.
Mhm.
You set her down. You're like, hey, you can't pee inside. It's just not cool. And she's like, okay. And then you asked her who her parents were, where her parents were, and she's like, I saw my mom getting hurt and I ran away by these mean orcs. So there's kind of like an assumption that that Sprinkle's mother was killed. You did heal Sprinkle. Like Sprinkle had an injured wing, and you repaired her wing so that she's healthy. So she's a rockin' young owlbear cub. But you haven't repatriated her or anything, or found new owlbears for her to live with. So she's still hanging around the Queen's Rest. Not peeing inside anymore, but still just being an owlbear indoors. I think, was it Yelena, you had like maybe a blanket for it set up for her to sleep in at night?
I don't know. Wasn't she? Didn't she crash somebody else's room? I can't
think
remember.
I think at one point she was assigned to Kai's room, but that was before she got housebroken. Because the assumption was that like, oh, let's put her in Kai's room because there's paper there and she can just go in the paper, not recognizing that the paper was all of Kai's scroll work and important, spell book kind of thing. I mean, Kai, I don't think you were enthused about it when last we spoke of.
No, but it's a great excuse not to be able to do anything, isn't it? If you've got an owlbear peeing on all your stuff.
Yeah, it is. Like demand for damages,
Yeah.
compensation for paper lost.
Yeah.
But as part of this whole, you guys kind of need to earn your keep, you were potentially recruited to do work in the early days of Honeyfest, which is typically how Honeyfest works. The whole festival lasts for the last 6 days before and culminates on the holiday known as Highharvestide, which is kind of the change in seasons from summer to autumn, comparable to our, what is it? Autumnal equinox. Yeah. That's what we call it, right?
I don't know.
Something like that. So typically what happens is the villagers mainly run at least half, maybe more, of the booths and activities that take place in Honeyfest. And then the remainder is taken up by artisans and merchants and carny type people who have traveled specifically to the town for this occasion. And they will take turns kind of spending 4 out of the 6 days of the festival total working a booth, doing some kind of job, and then they have 2 days off out of the festival to actually party and hang loose and have a good time at the festival on their own. So you were kind of gently ordered to man and help out with the setup and well, not the setup because you were training during the setup, but like the first 4 days of Honeyfest, you were recruited to work at different booths. And they kind of tried to align this to your skills and your interests. So, looking at the backdrop of Fantasy Grounds, where we have the whole Honeyfest map, a not all-inclusive legend of the stalls and events and festival stuff. Where do you think you might have been recruited to volunteer for 4 days at Honeyfest? What booth or activity do you think you would have fit best with? Or maybe something that you didn't fit with that you hated. But where do you imagine that your character wound up having to work the first 4 days of Honeyfest?
I'd say Kai's in Shaun's rest hut and incredibly annoyed that he didn't get to just rest with everybody else.
Well, here's the thing about Shaun's rest hut. Shaun is an out-of-towner. Shaun is a hermit. He's an Aarakocra. I'm not saying that correctly. But you know those bird guys who can talk? They're not like the kinku who like have to mimic everything they talk. They're actual birds that can talk
Okay.
and fly and hang out. But he's a hermit. Shaun the Hermit is what he's known as, if people dare speak of him. And he's cranky, and he kind of looks like a vulture, but like a 6 foot tall walk and talk and vulture. And the only reason he's at Honeyfest is because he's run out of money and he needs a little cash build up to bide his time and do what he wants to do on his own. He lives to like the southwest in the fallen forlorn hills, kind of like high up in a mountain, high up in a very tall hill. And
Okay.
he doesn't like people. And the reason why he's running this rest hut is because when people are resting, they're quiet and they don't talk to him. So the rest hut only works in 15-minute intervals. And basically how the rest hut works is like for every 15 minutes, you can get a long rest once per day. And if you rest more than 15 minutes in the rest hut, there are potential side effects. So every time Shaun sees you pop up at that hut, Kai, because it's not actually one that would take volunteers,
Right.
being like an outsourced location. He's shooing you off. He's like, get lost, kid, get out of here. And the 4 days has kind of been this spy versus spy whole production of like you trying to sneak into the tent to get a good 15 winks and Shaun trying to kicking you out.
Okay.
And you have discovered over this time that Shaun seems to be a wizard as well. What's more, he's a wizard who knows a little bit more than you do. So he's been very successful at kicking you out. But you have gleaned the information that Shaun, if you could get on his good side and get him willing to talk to you, you could maybe learn some stuff from him. Maybe there's some spells, some knowledge he could import, that would serve you well in the future. But for now, Shaun doesn't really talk. He doesn't really want to talk to you. Doesn't want to see you in his tent.
Okay.
So after your one rest of the day, your 15 minutes of resting there is up each day. You're like getting kicked out. And the whole thing has been you sneaking around trying to get back in that tent and have a good nap because it's a
Okay.
really good nap. There's like the spa music playing. There's like the aromatic oils kind of like filtering like the eucalyptus in the air. Really comfy pillows.
Nice. Definitely Kai's kind of place.
You can get those like little masks and those little things to go over your ears that kind of deaden out the inputs from the surrounding world. Or you could also get those a little like very quiet talking about how this is the time to relax. This is the time to rest. One of those guided meditations. It's very tranquil. So that's how your 4 days was spent. Not doing any actual productive work, but, spending a lot of energy trying to get out of doing work and napping.
Yeah.
Terel, where do you think you ended up having to volunteer?
First aid and baths.
First aid and bath. That's just like a natural fit, you being a paladin and
Eh,
being obsessed with personal hygiene.
Hygiene.
So what
I
you
just love
know,
the idea of a festival where everybody's where there's a place to go bathe.
so what you know, you're like an expert. You're an expert on this booth. You know that there are a bunch of like really entry level alkalites, people who are like, first level clerics kind of hanging out doing the first aid, but you'd be able to pitch in with your lay on hands ability. And mainly the people coming here for first aid are people who have overexerted themselves at the Tug of War pit just to the north. Or, the random person who's maybe done the tree climbing competition, fallen out of the tree because they slipped up. Maybe a few people who got singed at the Make Your Own Potion booth doing maybe mixing the wrong things. And then there's also been a couple people who've been pulled there from the Find the Mimic hut. People who chose the extreme mode. But this is also the area where there's the honey wagons. So people, the long lines for people to like relieve themselves after drinking a lot of mead and eating a lot of food. And what else? Oh, and then there's baths. Because what you've garnered is the tug of war arena. The tug of war doesn't happen over a puddle of mud like you're familiar with. It happens over a puddle of honey. So many times after people finish competing in the tug of war, they need to come take a bath and get rinsed off because they're sticky. But mainly you've been using your lay on hands to kind of like spot heal people who've gotten injured from overindulgence in the activities.
Okay.
Yelena, where do you think you have been working for the 4 days?
I'm going to assume the tree climbing.
You've had your eyes on the tree climbing.
Yeah.
You're so familiar with like the heats thus far. You know that there's for these early days up until the very last day of the festival, these are all qualifying tree climbing heats. And there's just been multiple of them. It's kind of like the first round of the NCAA tournament. So everybody is just climbing trees. The top half out of these initial qualifying rounds are the ones who are actually qualifying for the official tree climbing contest competition. And you're just basically at the base of trees, monitoring that there's no foul play, there's no magic used. You're there to kind of like catch people if they fall out of a tree. Make sure it's a good, clean contest.
No dirty tree climbing.
No dirty tree climbing. Most of the competitors have been just run-of-the-mill villagers, which, as a rule, because they live near the high forest, they're better tree climbers than, say, your average commoner from Waterdeep. There's a certain experiential skill there. There are the people to beat. There are a few lumberjacks in the competition, so they're definitely some of the people to beat, and you're aware. You have, your eyes on them. They seem to have been climbing fair lately so far, but they do seem to be very good at climbing trees rapidly. Do you have any personal interest in climbing trees yourself, Yelena?
Um, I imagine that I mean it's a useful skill to have if you're out in the woods and need to get a good view of what's going on. You scrabble up a tree to survey what's going on around you.
Whether to scout or to position
Yes,
yourself to shoot people,
exactly,
as you do.
as one does.
So these are the places where you have stationed yourself for the first 4 days. So now it's the 5th, and then it'll be the 6th day of Honeyfest. You are at leisure to do what you want in Honeyfest for 2 days. The Honeyfest grounds basically you typically just stay open from dawn to dusk. And we're kind of going to split it between a morning and afternoon session at the Honeyfest. And it's up to you now that you're on your own and free to do what you want to do. You can partake in activities as a group, or you can wander off if there's something that only one of you really, really wants to do. You can split the party and pursue your individual interests.
I have a question. Are we VIPs and do we get access to the VIP lounge?
The VIP lounge is held in reserve for people who are judging, for the most part,
Ah,
in space number 14, the contest pavilion, which I have misspelled. I put too many L's in there, but I'm just going to pretend that that's the Elvish spelling, and I have not spelled pavilion wrong on the map. Oh, I should probably mention that. What's happening in the pavilion, because these are kind of loosey-goosey contests that do happen at specific times, but are not, readily obvious to you. And you might be able to hear my cat Jasper, who is chirping about all the birds that are outside.
Well, it is spring. It is the time for cats to kill birds.
And I've put in bird feeders, so there's like lots of birds chilling and hanging out around here.
Yeah, but Jasper's loving it.
Yeah, so there's lots for him to talk about. So there's a schedule of activities in the contest pavilion. So this is the morning of the 30th of Eliant, the month of Eliant. It's the last day of this month. Tomorrow is Highharvestide, the holiday, and the culmination of Honeyfest. This morning in the contest pavilion, there is going to be a mead drinking contest. In the afternoon, there's going to be a vegetable best of show. Tomorrow in the morning, there's going to be a beautiful baby contest. And then in the afternoon tomorrow, there's going to be like award trophies handed out for the tug of war, the tree climbing, bee racing, and there is a raffle that's going to be awarded. You have seen in just from your traffic wandering around on your way to your volunteer task that they've been selling raffle tickets out of spot 4, where they're selling the commemorative tunics. And the raffle is for a queen bee cosplay that has been designed by one of the vendors from out of town, a vendor named Davia Divine. She basically is a tailor, haberdasher, and modiste. And she has constructed this bee kind of outfit that's inspired by bees. It has like the gossamer wings, kind of like those wings, like if you've seen Ever After with Drew Barrymore, like at the end where she's kind of like dressed like a butterfly. It's kind of along those lines, but it can be like customized based on whether you present as male or female or neither. As part of this costume, to make it realistic, the prize also includes winged boots. These raffle tickets are on sale for 1 gold per ticket out of spot number 4. and it's a chance to win wing boots and this couture outfit by Davia Divine. And that gets the raffle drawing happens at the end of Highharvestide tomorrow.
So have all the races and competitions and all that lot been done and won?
No, there are still qualifying feats ongoing today.
Okay.
The finals happen tomorrow, but if you do qualifying today in either the tree climbing or the tug of war, you could potentially qualify for the finals. I'm
think
assuming you don't want to enter in the beautiful baby contest because you aren't babies.
no, I was thinking it all sounds far too much like hard work joining in and competing, but I was thinking about doing a little gambling ring,
Ooh.
and then see if I can earn some money, and then maybe offer to share it with Shaun to get him a bit of extra cash. So he might see if I can entice him to show me some more spells or something.
Well, given your personality, Kai, and the way you go about things, what you figured out, just kind of getting the lay of the land of Honeyfest, is there's not a lot of open gambling in terms of table games like you like to play. And there is the possible potential of like gambling with the farmers and locals on the bee races later on, because that happens tomorrow as well. But you have figured out that one of the tents in amongst the food stalls at number 8, there is one tent that up front it has a very large banner, and it is publicizing a dish called Sweeeet. That's with 4 E's. Sweeeet! The Luiran delicacy. And sweet is kind of like baklava, but there's also there's a soft cheese like cream cheese or mascarpone that's mixed in a layer, and then there's like the layer of the normal pistachio nuts on top of it, and then there's all that like really thin filo-like dough that's has butter lashed in between the layers, and then it's all been soaked in this honey syrup. So that's what the sweetest. But you noticed over your 4 days of like sneaking around Honeyfest, trying not to actually do any work, that there is a back portion to the tent, and that people who go in the normal sweet line, you've noticed that there are people who've been asking for extra cheese. And those people have been escorted to a back secret portion of the tent, and you know that there's gambling going on back there as well as some other kind of activities. And there's also like a back door to this tent where the people leave by that door.
Excellent.
So
Wow.
you're aware there's some shady games going on as well as some other potential activities in the back part of the sweet tent.
Lovely.
So that's
Maybe
what you're
I'll-
interested in.
Yeah. I'll wander off to Sweeeet and ask for some extra cheese.
Terel and Yelena, are there things that you want to actually explore at Honeyfest in the morning?
Is the tug of war like a one-on-one type thing?
Is what thing a one-on-one type thing?
Tug of war, or is it teams?
Tug of war, you find it is teams of 4.
Then I'm gonna wander up over there since I've seen people get injured and see if anyone needs a spare. And on the way past, I'm gonna buy a raffle ticket.
You're gonna buy a raffle ticket?
Yeah,
Okay.
and Kai's just shouted at me while pouring beer that Kai would also like a raffle ticket.
So both of you need to deduct 1 gold to buy a raffle ticket.
Sure.
Yelena, what are you thinking? What interests you in Honeyfest?
So what contests are going on in the contest pavilion?
In the morning of this day, there's going to be the mead drinking contest.
Okay. Is there any archery stuff going on?
The closest thing to archery is the beholder toss.
Yeah, sure. I'll go check that out.
So beholder toss, it's basically like one of those things where they've set up a bunch of different pumpkins of different sizes, and they've all been decorated to look like beholders. And the ranged item that you use are like these wiffle balls that are made out of twine and wicker. They are not well crafted throwing objects. They're actually like -1 to hit. But you see like people throwing trying to give you've observed the throwing at beholder toss. And you've been able to determine that there's 3 shelves of pumpkins. And on the lowest level, there is the largest pumpkins, the easiest to hit. And then the second shelf, there's like medium difficulty pumpkins. And then the top shelf, there's like the tiny little baby pumpkin. And if you hit one of these, you get a various and sundry types of stuffies as your prize. With like the bottom row being this very small little dinky um stuffed goat kind of figure, and the middle being like this medium-sized kind of like teddy bee, and the very top being like a ginormous stuffed dragon. But it basically is I don't know, let's just say it's like 1 silver piece to throw 1 wiffle ball at the beholders.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Okay, I'm going to pull out a map. Not that they're genuinely hostile, but we got to have something to target.
Fantastic.
Alrighty then.
Alrighty then. Like, I don't know if I actually made a wiffle ball for a weapon, but you could use your normal weapon, but just hit the -2 modifier on the bottom left hand of your screen. There's those little buttons that are used for cover. Because it's a crappy ball.
So I'm just gonna go target.
Yeah, just use one of your normal ranged weapons, but with like -2 to hit.
No.
So for the first silver piece, you kind of whiff it. And actually, which beholder were you aiming for?
I was going for the top one, man.
Oh, you're going for the top one, the hardest one to hit?
Well, why not?
Yeah, as far as you know, no one has hit the top beholder yet. You've seen a couple
Challenge
people.
accepted.
A fair number of people have won their little tiny stuffed goats. But and a few select people have won the stuffed bees, but nobody has won a stuffed dragon. So, do you want to give it another try?
I'm sitting here looking at my hunter's mark spell.
Are you gonna mark the pumpkin?
Yeah, that'd be hilarious. I think it does damage by hit.
You can totally do it if you want to. You can like using a little sleight of hand, just kind of like mark the top pumpkin. Do a sleight of hand check if you want to do that.
All right. What should I do? Just roll it in the window?
Yeah, roll it in chat. So you start casting Hunter's Mark on the pumpkin, and there's this little kid in line behind you, and you hear her say in a really loud voice, "Mom, what's she doing? Look, she's making all these hand motions. What is that?"
I just kind of go, like that casual kind of put the hand over the head.
And there's like one of the Elven Rangers is kind of running the group out of the village, and is running the booth, and they kind of give you a narrowed-eyed look, and they're like, "Hey, oh, magic, straight shooting only."
Yeah, I think I was trying to look at the rules on Hunter's Mark. I don't think it gives me any advantage to hit. It just gives me more damage. So
I think it mainly does. I don't think it gives you advantage.
Yeah. That would have been nifty. Oh well.
You only have to hit the pumpkin to really do it.
All right, I'll give another silver piece. Do I have to get back to the back of the line and?
No, you're kind of taking up your turn. Yeah, you can give them another. You're there. You've got like the crappy wiffle balls. They're in a stack in front of you, so you can just keep like giving silver pieces to the booth attendant as you throw these balls.
I'll do one more here. Okay. Miss. I forgot to do mine too anyway, so it still would have been miss. I just sort of like sort of sigh, know that I don't like throwing away money too much. Like, okay, well that was fun.
Yeah.
Bye.
It's like
Walk
very
away.
hard because it's a tiny little baby pumpkin at the top row. And these are not like normal thrown objects. They don't you having to read the wind. It's something you're not proficient with, these actual little wiffle balls. You think you could probably hit something on the lower row pretty easily, but a lot of people are doing that, so it's not that much street cred.
Does Kai have mage hand? Maybe we need to get him over here. Can we mage hand a wiffle ball?
If you could get Kai to actually participate in something that wasn't gambling.
Yeah.
Well, this
true.
sort of is gambling if you know anything about it. It's like you're not. I mean, you're getting stuffed toys in return, but
Getting
it's a form of gambling. It's stuffed dragon as opposed to gold.
Mm.
Okay, I'm walking away. I'm gonna go find food. Let's go to the food hall.
Which is kind of the direction that you saw Kai going in.
Okay.
I'm flipping through my notes about the food. So at the food hall, there's a variety of stalls, and like different little wagons and pop-up kitchens. They're all honey forward flavors. There's snow cones that are flavored with honey syrups. There's honey roasted nuts. There's honeycomb candy. There's honey cakes. There are honey buns. There's hot honey on fried chicken, or fried vegetables if you're not a carnivore.
Do they come with waffles too?
Yeah, totally. Waffles? You can get waffles. Yeah, honey. Yeah, honey's the default syrup around here. But like you can have hot honey fried chicken with waffles. Totally. They also have like those like my brain just farted. But like at fairgrounds you get those funnel cakes. But instead of powdered sugar, it's like all honey.
Yeah, that actually sounds good. I do one of those.
There's also like the street food that's like salty pork and a honey stir fry with street noodles that they call buzzy bacon. And there's also a local food called swaddle that is honey poured atop of ricotta-like cheese. And there's also something called hutter, which is a spread made out of honey, butter, and yeast extract from the making of mead that gets spread on all types of home-baked breads. And then there's the sweet booth that you saw Kai disappear into. And you notice there are a lot of halflings going to the sweet booth. But that's not, that's not particularly weird considering that it says it's Luirin's, the traditional Luirin dish. And you know that Luirin was a kingdom of halflings before it was destroyed in the spell plague. So that tracks. What do you want to get to eat?
I think funnel cake sounds good.
The funnel cakes with honey?
Yeah.
And it's just a couple copper. If you have any copper, do you guys have any copper? You might have to get someone to make change at the booth.
Oh, I've got 6 copper pieces.
Like
I don't.
101.
10 copper to a silver.
So how many copper was it for funnel cake?
2.
Okay.
And it's a huge amount. It's like more than the size of your head that they give you for 2 copper. Sticky and sweet, and if you eat the whole thing, you're gonna start feeling like a little bit like you need to sit down or take a nap. Like your reflexes are not totally there.
Yep. Nom 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 nom.
From all that sugar.
Even if I'm walking around at the same time.
Yeah. I'm seeing the sights. Terel, what are you doing? You've been helping people who might be getting injured. You're still, which is pretty funny. That's like your free day, but you're still like kind of hanging out at the first aid tent trying to heal people on your day off.
Hi, that's me. But yeah, I am gonna wander up to the Tug O War to see if anyone needs if one of the party members has been injured or put off by the injury.
You haven't. Everybody seems to be like most of the people you've seen competing so far at the Tug of War groups of 4 out of the just general populace. And these people, they're mostly farmers. Some of them are hunters. Some of them are rangers that kind of go into the fringes of the high forest. So they're all reasonably healthy, but of an average strength. So there's been a lot of good matchup competitions in the tug of war arena. But you don't see anybody who looks like overwhelmingly strong initially. And it's been fair fights, other than a full things like maybe one person here maybe straining their back, or another person here like pulling a groin muscle or something. It's been pretty low key, and most of the attention they've needed after their matches has been the baths to get rid of the honey on the losing side. Then, after you've been there for a while, this group of lumberjacks kind of swaggers in, and most of these guys are kind of buff, and they look larger than a lot of the commoners who have been competing thus far. And they start to compete, and they just absolutely dominate their qualifying match. They just yank forward, pull these 4 little like helpless farmers face first through the honey, and the opposing team is just drenched, and they've got some scrapes and bruises because of like the power with which these lumberjacks yoinked them through the honey puddle. So you have to do a little bit of heel work to kind of take care of those abrasions, those scrapes. But you can tell from that one competition that seems like these lumberjacks are competitors to be reckoned with, and they might be the group that shows up in the tug of war final.
Okay.
Kai, you have presented yourself into the cheese tent.
Mm.
So you get up to the front line, and they're asking for a silver for your serving of cheese.
Okay.
So you have to pay that silver. And then you say the magic phrase, which is, "I would like some extra cheese," with that. And you have to be like long on the E,
Right.
or they assume that you just mean, more of the filling.
I would like some extra cheese with that, please.
The person at the booth is this kind of rough-looking halfling. Anyone who refers to it by name, you've heard his name is Dumbwaiter Jerkins. And when you say you want extra cheese, he gives you a wink, and he kind of jerks with his head and motions you to behind the curtain. But then he sticks his palm out and he says, "Extra silver."
Mm. 1 extra.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So you're 2 silver down for the door fee or the curtain fee.
Yeah.
And when you pull back the curtain, you see that there are multiple gaming tables behind the curtain, as well as some extra lines. And the lines seem to be heavily populated by halflings. And they seem to be buying something. It doesn't look like it's sweet. It's something that's like, they're very nervous about it,
Weed.
a little bit shifty, and whatever they're being handed over is wrapped very tightly in some waxed paper.
Catnip.
Catnip.
Mhm.
You can do a perception check if you want to observe what might be going on, or you
Okay.
can just go straight on to what games of chance might be happening in this tent.
Now I'll do a
Oh,
perception
I should
check.
say the other thing. There is one other halfling back here, which you have garnered over the previous 4 days, is named Crawl Space Jerkins, a sibling of the Jerkins in the front of the tent, and he's the one who's doing the shifty line. All of the gaming tables are being manned by Xvarts, which are like these little blue guys. So you can do a
Okay.
perception check to observe the shady line. But
Okay.
you can do a history check to see if you know what the hell Xvarts are. Or even arcane, I think. Arcane or history.
I'll do a perception check to see what's going on with the line. How do I do that again? Just drag the dice from perception.
Yeah.
Is it? Boom.
Oh! Okay,
Uh,
this is about the shady line.
Yep.
This dude is selling drugs, yo. This is drugs, man. If ever you saw people selling drugs, and there was some drugs in use in the Underdark, especially like around the sex pits, or the slave pits. You absolutely there was some of that stuff going on. So you recognize the behavior in the halflings waiting in line here.
Okay.
And just, it only takes a minute for you to observe out of the corner of your eye that there's two things on sale here. And one of them seems to be something that the people are whispering about called cheese. And it looks like cheese. It looks kind of like blue cheese, like Stilton or something. It's got like, it's semi-firm, a little bit crumbly. It's got those blue veins in it. And the halflings are all asking for that. They want that cheese. There's
Okay.
also something else for sale that the few people who aren't halflings in line are going for. And they seem to be some kind of gummy candy. Little gummies. The gummies are all shaped like bees. And they're all slightly green tinted.
Okay.
You know it's drugs. They're for sale. It's secret. You think that Drusel does not know about this. They're keeping this on the down low.
Okay. Right. Okay. I'll store that little bit of information away in case it's useful at some other time. I don't want to upset anybody. A minute.
Sure. You also notice. Oh, I've already flipped past it. Did I make a note? I didn't make a note. I could look at the items, though, for how much these things are actually selling for. If you think that is pertinent information that your natural 20 would impart to you.
Mm.
This is just me navigating Fantasy Islands. Fantasy Islands. Deep-rooted obsession right there with Mr. Rourke. This is me moving to the Honeyfest items, so I can tell you how much these drugs are actually selling for. People are handing over 10 gold for the gummies, and for the cheese, 5 gold.
Okie doke.
All right. Now, for the games all seem to be dice games.
Okay. Right. Yeah.
One of them you recognize because you have a bad association with it. They're calling this game Fae. And it's a game in which the player rolls a 2d6 dice. And if they hit 7 or 12, they win. This is the exact game that the Fae Satyr Lufkin challenged you to, and you kind of naively rolled before you learned the terms of the deal while you were in the Feywild.
Yes.
So you have played this game before, and they're doing it at these little tables, and these little blue guys, all of them are about 3 feet tall, blue tinted skin, are manning the tables. And so you recognize one table, they're playing that game that you played with Lufkin. And that the buy-in, you see that the buy-in is 5 gold. And if people win, they win twice that much.
Right.
There are other games that are dice-based. You see 3 other dice games in play. One of them involves a box. The other 2 are kind of variations on one game. And it involves someone rolling a d6 multiple times, and they're kind of betting after each time they roll. And then the one that involves a box, there seems to be 2 people playing against each other. And this box, as they're rolling the dice, when they start, there's numbers from 1 to 9 that are visible. And as the players continue rolling, they shut the numbers down, and eventually there are no numbers showing. And when no numbers are showing, somebody seems to be winning.
Okay.
If you approach a table, though, you might be able to get more information about how the game is actually played. But there is the one game, Fae, that you're already familiar with.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I'll tell you what. I'll have a crack at the Fae one.
To redeem yourself?
Yeah. This could turn out badly.
So you can sit down at the table.
Mm-hmm.
And when there's like a free moment in the action, that the kind of, it's not a dealer so much because this is basically you playing against yourself, but there is a guy who collects money for like your privilege to play and get the payout if you win. And it's one of these little blue guys. And here again, you can still make a history or arcana check if you want to, like, see how much you know about these little blue guys.
Okay, I'll do that. Ooh, nearly rolled a 20 then.
Woo! But it was a dirty 20. And that is perfectly sufficient that you do know these are Xvarts. These guys are actually supposed to all have been created by some kind of demon lord. Graz. I think maybe that's how you Graz. Grazz hyphen, not hyphen, apostrophe T. There's supposed to be a glottal stop in the name somehow.
Okay.
Anyway, they're created by a demon lord. And they're usually very aggressive and maybe mercurial and maybe working in the service of demons. At least what you know of them. I mean, this is the first time you've ever run into one working in a black ops gambling hall. So that seems a little bit unusual for what you know about Xvarts. But they're abyssal kind of creatures.
Okay.
So they're kind of out of place in this scenario, especially because they don't seem to be immediately interested in eating your face. As they run the game, though, you can tell that they're speaking in very broken common. So it's all like, get money, roll dice. They're not conversationalists. So you sit down at the table, you can buy in for 5 gold.
Okay.
And roll your 2d6 to see if you win.
Right. Right, 2d6.
Yep. Big money, no whammies.
Oh,
you loser. And he pockets the 5 gold. Big gambler, you want to try again?
I'll try one more time.
You pay up another 5 gold. Roll your dice. Some easy winner!
Does that mean I get 10 gold back?
Yeah, Xvarts looks very pissed, and you've won back 10 gold, so you've broken even.
Excellent.
Question is, do you have the fever now? Have you got the taste for it now that you've won?
Oh God, we could do this all day if you're not careful. Yeah, go on. Third time's charm. I might win again. I'll try another one. Oh,
loser! So you're down 5 gold.
Yeah.
Now,
yeah.
How long do you think Kai would play at dice? Like, how much time do you think he would spend?
Oh, hours.
Okay. Let's just roll a d20 to see whether or not he overall wins or loses money.
Oh.
Man, I don't know why you keep trying to roll. You lose that. So you're down like 50 gold.
All right. Okay.
By the time you get, you start to think the better of it.
Yep, fair enough.
This is just a losing proposition. The house is winning on this game. Your dice are cold. You think it's because you're not getting enough naps. You're like, you're just tired, It's daytime. There's all the sunshine out, and it's really wrecking your dice game.
Yep.
So take 55 gold away.
Yep. I have done that.
Now, you aren't going to dare try any of the other games, are you?
No.
In the morning. That is your morning. So Kaya spent all of this morning gambling. There's no mead drinking for you. No mead drinking contest. You've totally missed it. You've been sitting in the back of the tent, just feverishly rolling these rounds of Fae, trying to make buck.
Yeah.
And failing.
Yeah.
It's a dark hole is Honeyfest.
Yeah. True to form.
But Terel and Yelena still have opportunity to do other things. Yelena, it only took you a few minutes to try Beholder Toss and get a little bit disgusted with the situation. So you
Right.
could either investigate sneaky ways that you can do better at Beholder Toss, not under the close eyes of the kids in line or the person running the booth, or you could investigate something else.
Let's see. Oh, well, since we talked about it, unicorn rides. I just want to ride a unicorn.
Okay, so you take your funnel cake and you show up at the unicorn ride. Sorry, coughing. I might investigate a cough drop for my personal consumption. This is me. I'm so disoriented.
Discombobulated.
Discombobulated because I didn't put any of my notes in Fantasy Grounds like one should. So they're all in paper, which means I gotta flip pages. Okay, so you've reached the unicorn rides. And you can see there's this collection of horses and ponies with brightly colored manes that are available here to ride around a ring. There's a flute player off to the side. It's providing background music to the ride, signaling the start and the stop of each round. And the unicorns have pink, purple, green, orange, and gold hair.
Cool.
Are they real unicorns?
Well, you're not
Yeah.
there for one.
No, but I want to know.
So, Yelena would need to do an insight check to see if she thinks these are real unicorns.
I want to see if they're real unicorns.
But they certainly have that swoop of hair because you've met an actual unicorn, which most people can't say.
Versus?
Okay, so with a 15, I mean, you feel fairly confident that these can't all be unicorns. But the one with kind of yellow gold hair, it is a little bit uncanny that if it's not a real unicorn, somebody who did the design on this unicorn, did the disguise of the unicorn, had uncannily met that unicorn that you encountered in the Feywild. Because the swoop of golden hair, the sheen on the horn and the hooves just seems like an uncanny match. And
so
you
I
can't
request
on that one you cannot tell that it's a fake horn.
So do we get to pick which unicorn we ride?
Well, they assign them, but you can certainly try to edge your place in line so that you get the unicorn you want.
Yeah, I want to try and get on that unicorn.
Okay. So you cut in line in front of a little girl, but she doesn't care because she wanted the pink unicorn anyhow.
Okay, good.
And you go for the gold.
I give her. Do I still have funnel cake left?
Yes.
Cake left over?
Yes, totally.
I give her a little bit of funnel cake. Sort of a thank you.
And you see that there's also they've been selling stuff. This little girl is wearing a rainbow wig on top of her natural hair, so it's all this kind of straw obviously fake hair, but it's in a rainbow of colors on her head. And you see that there's a little booth off to the side of this ride where they're selling cotton candy that's rainbow. And they're also selling these same rainbow wigs. And they're also selling these little hats that are unicorn horns. And so various children and people attending the festival, before and after they ride the unicorns, are buying these things. But you get your golden unicorn. And It has this gleaming gold saddle, and you mount on the unicorn, and the flute music starts, and you start riding around in a circle.
Uh-huh.
And
So can I just...
the unicorn is prancing proudly,
Mm-hmm.
and you're
So,
feeling very tranquil.
can I lean forward and say, have we met before?
And you hear a little voice in your head say, "Hi.
Did we meet in Feywild?
It's wonderful that you recognize me.
So what are you doing here?
Well, I thought I'd see how you were doing."
Oh, that's sweet of you. We're doing fine. We're earning a little keep and taking a break today.
Yes, I was concerned that you might not be able to return the bee, but you did successfully, and that's wonderful.
Well, we're very happy. I think everybody is happy. It's a happy ending in general.
You did a good job. I hope you're proud of yourself.
I think we are, actually. Thank you.
And this is like all in your head. I hope you'll tell your friends the same.
Do we need to stay? What's going on?
Well, there's always dangers that appear. So if you stay in Ruchvert, I'm sure they could use your help. But if you go somewhere else, they'll probably have trouble as well.
Is there trouble coming that we need to know about?
Oh dear, there's always trouble coming. You just have to wait long enough. It'll arrive. But be careful, because sometimes good things come too. And wisdom is the ability to tell the difference. The flute music starts to come to a close, signaling the end of the ride. And you hear one last thing in your mind that says, "When I'm not in the Feywild, just follow Unicorn's Run, and you can find my other glade. If you need me."
Okay. Thank you.
And they call this unicorn ride to a close. And the people manning the booth kind of like encourage you, "Get off the unicorn." So do you cooperate?
Yeah,
You're
I
like,
probably should.
"No mine forever. No mine forever."
I'm assuming that this unicorn's okay, and she is not under duress, so it's here of their own free will, and could probably leave of their own free will. So
Just having hijinks and fun.
yes, exactly.
Posing as a fake unicorn, maybe.
Posing as a fake unicorn
Slumming.
and
The unicorn slumming.
slumming it in the real what is people in the Feywild call this realm?
Call it the
The human
slum.
realm?
They probably
The
would call
slum.
it slum. Yeah.
Yeah, in the slum
Anything
realm.
non-Feywild is probably slumming. Yeah. Just going through the portal is slumming.
So I guess I go have to find Kai and Terel to let them know
And as
the
the crowd,
message we got.
there's kind of like that mash of people as people dismount their unicorns, and there's the exchange of bodies from between one ride to the next, and you kind of get turned around and lose direct sight of the unicorn that you've been talking to. You still don't know their name. You still don't know their name. They do have a name, but you still don't know
Oh
it.
my goodness.
But you lose direct sight of them, and by the time the body's clear, there is no golden-haired unicorn at the rides anymore.
Aha.
I want to check in with Terel one more time, but it's also almost Little Adventurers break time. Or is it? Yeah, it is Little Adventurers break time. So do you want to do check in with Terel before lunch of the first day? Before we have Little Adventurers break, or after we have Little Adventurers break?
No, let's have a break first and then come
Okay.
back to me.
All right, so we'll come back to you after we do like a 10-minute break.
Alrighty, 10 minutes.
Okay. See you soon.
All right. Okay, we're just before lunchtime, but there's a chance for Terel, now that Terel has been healing people. Terel never is on vacation, it seems. But Terel has a chance to investigate additional things. Now, in the area where you are near the arena, it's basically a circle of kind of wooden makeshift bleachers for the crowds watching tug of wars to compete, to be sitting in while they watch the competition. And then it's just basically like all this dirt and all this honey has been dumped in a puddle, and that's where like the tug of wars do their work. But closest to that, there's also all of the tents for the honey wagons and first aid and the baths. But you're also very close to the commemorative tunics and the where they're selling the raffle tickets. But there's also a few of the vendor booths nearby. And you see that there are people selling things. You've caught a few glimpses of Davia Divine, and her wagon is set up. It's very colorful and glamorous. There's swaths of silk everywhere. And she's a very lithe, tall, almost like a sun elf, like a redheaded elven woman. And she seems to be like very gregarious in how she's engaging with the people who are stopping by the booth. She's mainly selling clothing items, cloaks, various outfits, and she does seem to take custom orders.
Okay.
Other things that you see amongst the vendors, there is a halfling selling some little clockwork animals, and those can also be done at request. And there's also you've seen hair braiding, and there's a person who will ink tattoos.
Ooh.
And you also see Kai's friend Terry, the half orc. He seems to be doing some kind of flower trade. And should probably make an insight check for that one.
Okay, hang on. Wow.
Oh dear. Out of the corner of your eye, as you're kind of helping people out at the arena, you catch sight of Terry's booth. He's selling these little tuzzy-muzzy, small handheld bouquets of flowers out of his booth. But based off your recent experiences, you've uncannily realized that the flowers in all of these little bouquets that Terry is selling is pickable. Pickable being that flower that when you pick it, it grows back double-fold.
That one.
Yep. While you know that the Feywild portal is no longer open, you know that the flowers, the seedings that came through and took root while the portal was open, which ones haven't been picked or eaten by Fey bees, are still there. And pickable was this one that was known that if picked excessively, could overrun other plant life.
Okay. I better wander over to him then and try to find out where he's picked it from.
If you wander over to Terry's booth, and he's like, "Hey, Terel, want Tuzzy Muzzy?"
I kind of don't actually, because
Are you allergic?
well, no, but you do know what this plant does when you pick it, don't you?
It makes a lot more plants that I can pick, so they're really cheap.
Yeah, but every time you pick it, it'll keep growing, and eventually will wipe out all the other plants.
What?
It's a big farming community around here.
What? Well, yeah, I know. I mean, I like have my pigs. Bazelda, yeah. You're saying I shouldn't have picked the flower?
Yeah, because it's just going to grow back. It's not just going to grow back like a normal plant. It's going to grow back aggressively and double in size and start taking over the other wildlife in the area.
Well, that's terrible. What are we gonna do about it? Because there's a lot of it in the forest now.
Oh no.
I mean, it just kept growing and growing. And I kept picking it because, yeah, I could use the flowers. You know, ever since I got back from the Feywild, Bazelda doesn't really like dancing anymore, so I kind of need to make ends meet. You know that Bazelda is his pig.
Right. So the thing is, do we know that? Do we know that about the poison? Where did you get that from?
You know that Drusel did tell you that there was a plant that you brought back that was poisonous to people.
Okay.
You see, this is in my backpack, so we've picked it at some point.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So it would appear that I know that there's a way to combat the aggressive growing of the plant.
Because you know that I think you also know that, like, other than the Lemonsbane, which is totally the bee plant, like the Fey bees loved Lemonsbane. It was so good, so tasty. But as a fallback, you know that Pickable was like the compromise plant, that if you absolutely positively needed something to feed the Fey bees, they would accept Pickable. But because of the whole growing back situation, it was not advised.
Right.
So you know that Pickable attracts bees to a certain extent as well.
Okay. So
I can't remember which plant was it that kills Pickable.
go on.
Pansy vine poison.
Pansy vine. Okay.
Okay. So what's the name of the half-orc guy again? Sorry. Terry. So I'm going to say to Terry, look, it's not too bad because we spoke to Drusel about this plant and he told us that there's a way to stop it from growing so fast. But what you need to do is stop picking it, and will Drusel be able to make the pansy vine poison, or is it going to be something that's going to require?
Well,
Yeah.
Drusel could make a concoction that is poisonous to the pansy vine. But with his newfound skills and training with alchemist supplies, Kai could likely do the same thing.
Okay. All right. So, and then I'm going to say to Terry, look, so we need to stop it from spreading any further. So you need to stop picking it, because that's dangerous. But you need to speak to either Drusel or Kai, because Kai's been playing around with some stuff this week while we've been in the village, and he might be able to do it.
Well, you know Kai, he's probably gambling or napping.
That's true. Let me go find Kai,
It's
and
his
we'll
two
sort.
favorite things. Gambling and napping is all I ever see him doing. Well, okay, so is it okay if I sell these? I just won't pick anymore, but if I sell my Tuzzy Muzzies?
Yes, but if
That's
anyone
safe?
asks, yes, but if anyone asks you where, I'm assuming they've been picked so they can't be planted and grown again, can they?
Yeah,
That's it.
Well, someone would have to go to a lot of effort, and it's probably been a little bit too long since these have been picked for them to like do that whole
Right.
botanical thing where you make roots come out of the
Yeah.
stem.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll tell him that he's all right to continue selling what he's got, but not to tell anyone where he got it from if anyone asks.
I will absolutely not pick any more pickable. And I'm kind of bummed that the portal is closed because I think I really had a chance with that fairy who I had tea with. I think she was into me, man.
Anyway, Terry, I'll see you later.
Hey,
Go.
I think there's like a money prize for like the cutest baby contest. Do you think, okay, because they don't specify that it has to be a non-bestial baby. So do you think I could get my little pig? It's Bazelda's like prize offspring. Little Poinky? Think I could get little Poinky into the cutest baby contest?
I totally think you can do that.
That's totally fair, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
they don't say it has to be like a non-pig baby.
That sounds extremely reasonable to me, Terry. Go for it.
If they didn't want pig babies, they should say no pig babies in the contest sign.
Exactly. Yeah.
This could be the next big thing for me. Thank you, Terel. Thank you for pointing this out to me. I'm going to totally do the contest now. Okay, yeah. But I won't pick anything else. Promise.
All right. Good guy. Okay. I'm just gonna wander off and leave him. Oh, that's a good question. Did he tell me where he picked them from?
Well, you know where the pickable was.
So he's picked it from where we've seen it by the portal.
You know there was pickable by where the portal was. You know the portal's gone, but the plants are still there in that.
Okay,
that
that's fine.
glade.
So it's not like it's gone somewhere else.
I mean, you don't know how big the pile of pickable is now. When last you left it, it was only like the extra plants from the ones that you picked.
Right.
Because, you were the first to pick the pickable.
Okay. Can I tell from like his stall how much he probably had?
Oh,
picked?
he had lots.
Oh, great.
He picked like at least 100 flowers. Maybe more. You don't know how many he sold.
Yeah. Okay. We've got a task to do.
So, following, your insight of Kai, and that, like, yeah, Terry's probably right. He's either napping or he's gambling. You don't know where there's gambling. I don't know. What do you do to try to find where Kai and Yelena are? Do you guys have any pre-agreed upon signal when you want to team up? Like wonder triplet powers? Activate?
I'm just
Activate.
gonna wander around the street showing, Kai, Yelena.
Okay, so Kai
Good
and
idea.
Yelena do perception checks. Do you hear Terel screaming in the festival avenues, yelling your name over the crowds?
No, Kai's
Kai,
napping.
completely oblivious. Kai,
Kai's asleep.
depressed about the money he's lost, wanting a nap.
Yeah.
Yelena, though, does hear.
Perk up a little bit.
She's strolling down the avenue, kind of like, still have that last lingering glow of being in the presence of a real unicorn. It's a little bit of that contact unicorn high. And so you're feeling the glow, just strolling down the lane, and you hear this, Yelena!
Bye!
In the familiar voice of your friend Terel.
I follow the
Following off along.
Coming through the east, so you kind of meet halfway between like 3 and 8. You're like in the lane between where there's vendor stalls and when there's food stalls, and there's like the big dance floor. There's a little band playing. There's like combination of flute and fiddle and an accordion. And there's a couple couples on the dance floor, kicking up their heels, doing jigs. Some dance you're not familiar with, but it doesn't look overly complicated. And so Yelena, you've spotted Terel. You guys have met up. But Kai's oblivious. So you're gonna have to do a little searching to spot Kai out.
Okay.
So
I'm gonna.
the two of you do additional perception checks to see if you can find Kai in the crowd, because you're not that far away from where he is. Oh yeah. You scout him out. Both of you, you're like,
there he is.
it's like you can smell him, even though he's not the one who smells. Like Yelena smells like lavender, and is probably the easiest to track amongst the three of you, maybe.
Kai smells like despair at the minute.
Yes. Kai smells like gambler's despair right now. But you see him kind of hunched shoulders, sobbing outside of the Sweeeet tent, the back exit, looking about 50 gold lighter. And it's about lunchtime at Honeyfest on the last day. So you're all together, reunited. It feels so good. What do you want to do at this lunchtime? Or what next?
I'm going to offer to buy these guys lunch while I explain what Terry's been up to.
Kai snaps his hand off for the offer of somebody paying for lunch for him.
What? You're not broke, right? You still have some money.
I still have some money, yeah.
You didn't lose it all.
I didn't lose it all, but
You
Terel
say-
don't know that.
Like Terel's accusing you of being broke by offering to pay for lunch.
But it's Crane outside the tent, I'm going to assume that he's lost his money.
Well, yeah, I don't think you don't know that there's gambling in that tent. You just know that there's something very saddening about the Sweeeet tent for Kai.
True. Okay.
Unless he offers up that he's been gambling all morning.
Not yet.
And lost his money.
No, but I will take lunch from somebody. Fine.
What do you guys think you'll have for lunch? And is Yelena still full from all that funnel cake?
I think, yeah. Yelena just wants a salad, I think, if they have that here.
Do some greens with a honey vinaigrette.
Sure.
I have chicken and waffles.
All right, chicken and waffles for Kai. What's Terel having for lunch?
Some kind of spicy meat wrap.
Yeah, you can get some spicy hot honey meats in a flatbread.
Yeah.
With spicy pickles or whatever kind of I want to say accessories, but accessories doesn't apply to food. Condiments.
That's
that is
the
word. That's a food accessory. The vocabulary is so interesting. Okay. And as you sit down at a table, it's like a picnic table underneath this large tent that's basically arranged for people to sit at while they're eating and drinking. You can see the dancing, what dancing there is going on the dance floor. And you hear that later on there's karaoke on offer. Or they don't use the word karaoke, but it's like sung along where you can sing songs if you want to for the crowd. And you also there's a mead booth here. There was a mead contest that has ended, and you overhear that the victor at the mead drinking contest was Bomb Knots, who's this big half orc you see kind of wandering around. He's got his little makeshift badge for winning the contest. And from what you've heard about this guy, he's a big guy, and it makes sense that he won the mead drinking contest because you heard that he subbed for Goodman Grasselthatch's ox when it got sick last Greengrass. So this is the kind of guy who could withstand the torments of pint after pint of mead of varying strengths.
Okay.
So Bomb Knots. People who aren't around Bomb Knots call him Bum Knots, but
Oh,
that's a whole nother thing.
ouch.
So you're eating the lunch, and Terel, you've shared this whole news about the pickable patch is run rampant because Terry picked a bunch of flowers. So that's a problem for future you? Or what are you guys thinking?
Oh, I also shared the sorry, I was talking, I forget, I have to push the button to talk. I shared that I run into our unicorn buddy who dropped some hints that we need to hang around town. So this might relate to that.
All right, so the unicorn seems to imply we need to stay here. But we need to do something about the pickables so that it doesn't spread any further, and that's...
Well, can't we just make something and give it to Terry and tell him to go sort it out himself?
Yeah, if you think he can do that.
Well,
He's your mate.
give him specific instructions. Is he my mate?
Yeah,
He's your mate.
Well, he's
Tezza. I'll give Tezza the potion to go sort out his
Terry is your mate in the sense that a lot of the money that you've had up until you met this pair was money that you won off of Terry.
All right.
So in that
Not a
sense,
mate,
he's your
gotcha.
best friend because he's where all your cash comes from.
All right. So I could do him making 55 gold off him, really, couldn't I?
Yeah, he owes you 55 gold at this point.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll make him a potion and sell it to him for 55 gold. There we go.
Now me, since I absolutely didn't prepare for this session at all, I don't know what's involved with using your alchemy.
No, I've no idea,
skill.
but I do
I
have.
think you need to make some kind of check to see how well you concoct this pickable poison.
I do
off
have
of
a
your...
I do have a pansy vine. I have 3 pansy vines
Yes.
in my inventory. So, what do you think I should roll then?
Well, you've got supplies. I suggest that maybe after lunch you sneak over to the make your own potion booth. Just in case you need additional supplies and like stuff to do it in. And Drusel's there. And he's the guy who taught you everything you know about alchemy. So he could probably help you out if you tell him the situation.
Yeah, okay.
But you can also go your own way.
No, we'll do that. Drusel. Use Drusel.
So you're finishing up lunch. Everybody's they're eating their chicken, they're eating their salads. Kai, did you say what you're eating?
Chicken and waffles.
Chicken. You said chicken and waffles. Terel, did you say what you're eating?
Spicy meat and a flatbread.
Spicy meat and a flatbread. Okay. This is all coming back to me now from like 5 minutes ago. I am Johanna. That is me. What just happened?
I will tell you that this D&D session is really making me hungry.
You? It is making me... Yeah. The talk of food. That's what happens. You clean up your plates. You put it in like the designated, recycle trash area. Of course, you recycle.
Naturally. Always.
All of us. Yes.
Mm-hmm. At least Yelena and Terel, because you're with the Emerald Enclave, of course you recycle. I don't know what Kai does.
Kai recycles.
Okay. As you're walking away from the food stalls, roll a perception check.
I don't see anything.
Oh, why did I ask you to roll a perception check?
We could roll something else. Investigation.
I would be very happy to roll something else.
You do not notice anything with those rolls.
We are oblivious.
And you continue walking towards the make your own potion tent.
Okay.
But after before you make it through like the block of walking that it takes, because you're kind of going like halfway across the festival, you start hearing some exclamations from the crowd of festival attendees. And there's kind of a sound of, I'm not going to say splintering wood, but it's like the sound of bark, scratching bark, coming from the northwest. And you think, oh, from this kind of sound and from the upheaval, it must be something like very noisy. This is some kind of serious, a very loud sound if you can hear anything involving wood hitting wood, given your surroundings.
does it sound like it's coming from within the Honeyfest area or outside it?
Outside the Honeyfest area.
Not the lumberjacks chopping trees down, is it?
No, they're all doing tug O War.
Do an insight check. I think it's some kind of good rollout here. I mean, with like the 11s that Terel and Kai roll, you know there's a sound, and you hear some vague sound. Terel.
Oh, there we go.
Boom.
Yelena wins.
Okay, natural 20, Yelena. Yelena, this is not lumberjacks chopping wood.
That's ominous.
To you, this sounds. It's a very rare experience. It's not something you've encountered before, but from what you've heard of, you're wondering if this isn't the sound of a tree moving. Like,
The Ents are coming.
this is what you expect a tree moving to sound like. And there's and the exclamations continue amongst the crowd to the northwest. Like back toward the unicorn rides.
Is anyone running away screaming, or are they just making noises?
No one is running away screaming at this point. Someone might be chewing ice.
I thought that was Kim
Not
doing an
guilty.
impression of the trees.
Actually, that does kind of sound like a tree moving.
That's actually like one of those roll robin egg candy pieces. Sorry.
That's fine. That's fine. This is like sound effects. It's like the stomp, stomp, stomp of a tree.
There you go.
Yeah.
Walking faster than I, imagined, but still accurate. What do you guys do?
Well, I suppose
some people were like, we're just gonna go the other way.
I don't know. Do we want to check it out in case it's what the what the unicorn was advising you about?
Yeah, let's I guess walk and see. Be ready, but
yeah,
keep an ear out. If people start screaming, we start running towards it.
So if you start to stroll in that direction,
yeah, purposefully stroll, but stroll
back toward the unicorn rides.
Mm-hmm.
So you pass by like the rest of the vendor booths, and you just see like generic like people selling honey-based products. There's people. There's like a general store kind of place for your regular supplies. Of course, there's always somebody selling dream catchers, and then across
with
the
bees.
way, with bees in the little webbings. In its own way, that's kind of dark. There's the face painting booth. There's one big hive at the end of a lane, and you also see the little ramshackle 2-story building that's been set up for the Fungin. And Kai, you recognize it's another one of the Jerkins is manning the door there. It's Schifferrobe Jerkins.
Okay.
But as you get to where the unicorn rides section is, not only are the unicorn rides continuing, and they're still selling their little peripheral things like the rainbow wigs and the candy, what's that word?
Condiment?
No, the sponge sugar candy.
Oh, candy floss.
Candy floss.
Candy floss. What is the American name for it? Oh my God, it's
cotton candy.
Cotton candy. Oh my God. Candy. I think I have brain damage.
How much have you had to drink?
I barely had because there's been 2 natural 20s, but that's all I've drunk, and the rest has been water. But I think I've really genuinely had brain damage. That I can only remember candy floss, and I can't remember candy.
Cotton
candy. Oh my God. Yeah, I am Dory the fish officially now.
Oh God.
So those things are happening, and people are happy and enjoying things normally, but around the big hive, you see people have kind of gathered and they're pointing and they're oohing and eyeing and they're kind of like letting out little squeals of kind of amazement and delight. And in the distance, a good 200 feet away, you see this very large apple tree. Seems to be just walking out of the high forest, approaching the Honeyfest grounds. Like a living tree walking out of the forest. And it's headed your way.
Well, does it look like it's angry, or what's the word?
How do you tell if a tree is angry?
No, what's the word? What's the word? There's a word.
Do you read its body language somehow? Or its little tree shoulders sort of hunched up, or
the apples
yeah,
look a bit sour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sour apples.
Like you're not in range to detect the sour apples.
So it's an enemy that we need to defeat. I'm just thinking, maybe it's just come out of the woods just for
Candy floss
or a bit of honey or something.
So it's still like about, at this point 150 feet away. Getting closer.
And about to trample lots of people.
Well, I mean, that's one scenario out of the multitude of madness.
What about if we go out and meet it halfway to see if it stops or just tries to walk over us or whatever?
So you're going to go out and meet it halfway. Well, it's like still about 75 feet away from the unicorn rides and the AB hive.
Yeah.
Should. Yeah.
At this point, because the Honeyfest grounds were kind of set to the north of town. And while Ruchvert is very close to the outer fringes of the high forest, there's still a good mile or two between each of these things. So whoever this tree is, and you do notice that the tree, while it is quite large, I mean, almost like huge, because it's a tree. It's very tall. Certainly taller than all of you. Because it's a tree. And it's walking, which is pretty interesting. It is kind of slow because it's got to move those roots, and as it proceeds forward, you see the roots kind of flare up and dive like dolphins swimming in the water, and then they dive into the ground and kind of sink in, and the tree pulls itself forward, and there's that kind of, it's causing that crackle sound of earth moving and wood moving as it kind of drags itself forward. And it brings to mind a little bit the idea of how a snail or a slug moves as well. That you think, oh, like in nature, certain things are not so dissimilar. That there are patterns and the way of the natural world that echoes on and on. Even though some things are quite small and some things are quite large, it's all still nature at work. But that's just a passing thought as this large apple tree moves closer and closer. You can tell that the bark is shaped in such a way that it burls and has eyebrows of a sort to suggest facial features. It has a mouth of a knothole as of a sort to suggest a mouth. But by and large, it's all just limbs and leaves and apples hanging from its branches as it gets closer and closer. And in all that talking, I've forgotten what the whole point was.
Should we go talk to it if
So
it's
you're
got a
watching
face?
as it gets closer. You're about halfway. You've stepped out from where the Honeyfest grounds are, moved farther north. So it's more like grassland that is spotted with trees because the forest is starting. It's not like officially the high forest, but you're kind of getting those fringe areas where like a forest would normally spread over years and years and years if people didn't chop down the trees. But it's like trees intermittent with grassland.
Okay.
Can we tell if this is a creature or if it's something else is animated? Is there like a detect magic? Does somebody have detect magic?
Looks at Kai, because it won't be me.
And you guys,
It wouldn't
anyone
be-
can make a
that's not
nature
me.
check if you want to.
Oh, okay.
I'll do that.
Because everybody except Kai has a reason to know stuff about nature.
Not today.
Not rolling great.
All right, it's a good job I did all right.
Yelena's kind of hung up on the idea, like, is this what the unicorn was warning me about? Is this what the unicorn was saying I need to use wisdom about? You're so confused. Like, couldn't the unicorn have just given an itemized list of problems?
Here's what's coming. No, we have to speak in arcane
and you could
oblique.
have added it to the scrum or whatever, and just tracked it in a reasonable manner throughout this whole adventuring project. But no. So Yelena's a bit confused. Kai's already gotten distracted thinking about all the money that he's lost again and how he really needs to get, like this is wasting time getting to the make your own potion booth where he can like make a potion and get the money back from Terry that he's lost. But Terel knows. Terel, who has proved that she was working. I stopped pushing to talking, so maybe like the drink that I had when you rolled natural 20s was stronger than I previously suspected. But Terel worked on her day off. Terel is more business than than the other two, and Terel is thinking about her familiarity specifically with this region because she grew up in a village, in a town that is also adjacent to the High Forest, though it is somewhat to the north, far away from here. But Terel knows, also from her service to the goddess Miliki, that sometimes trees are awakened. And there are living trees that move and become living entities that move of their own accord. And typically, they're not necessarily dangerous. They're part of the forest. She's heard stories that sometimes the forest can be corrupted. There are some places in the high forest that there are whispers of that are shadowed and dangerous, and that perhaps you shouldn't go because if there was a living tree from those places, it could be very dangerous. But as default, a living tree isn't necessarily an enemy. It's more something to engage in. And Terel also knows that the oldest amongst living trees seem to kind of the longer tree is alive and animated in this way, the more powerful and insightful it grows. And they become known as a completely different name, that of a treant. And that's more like the evolved Pokemon status of Awakened Tree.
Fabulous.
Yeah. After a couple of centuries, they become extra, and those are the ones that are more likely. While say these kind of creatures, if they hold perfectly still, it is very difficult to discern them from a real tree. They are the types that may be the secret guardians of a section of forest. And as you travel through the forest, you never know when one of these things in a time of danger might awaken and provide assistance or defense of a particular patch of forest under their protection.
Okay. So I'll tell the other guys this as quickly as I can, and then I guess I have to start with the assumption that he's not corrupted. So I'll step forward and just sort of call up to it. Hello, Ancient One. Would that be a? I'm assuming he's
Yeah.
going to be fairly old, isn't he? If he's a living tree.
Well, maybe.
So you get within calling distance.
Yeah.
And you shout out, "Hey, Ancient One."
Yeah. No threatening moves. Just being polite and.
The tree keeps coming, but after it's about 30 feet away from you, you see it slowly kind of expand 2 branches, and one of them moves slowly from left to right, and you hear this kind of deep, timbrous, but very mellow voice say, "Yo, how's it going?"
It ain't got a bloody satire in it, has it?
Are you like, does this tree have a satyr in it? Is this Lufkin? Is this Lufkin in a tree disguise again?
Are we sure he's not going to the drunk tent?
What, the tree?
Yeah. Just how you doing?
How you
Yo.
doing?
Yo. Are you headed to the forest?
No, we were back with that village back there, but we saw you coming and we just wondered if there was anything we could help you with.
Oh yeah, that's where I'm going. I heard there was a festival.
There is.
Yeah,
Did you want to go to the festival?
that's where I'm going. I'm going to the festival. Got some stuff to give out to the kiddies.
What creepy owl.
You didn't press for that. Kai thinks that's a bit creepy.
I heard it. I heard it.
No offense, I'm just going to look up at the tree and just say, you realize you're a bit large compared to the people who are at the festival?
Not so good. I'm a friend, man. Oh no, wait, you're not a man. You got a lot of armor. It's hard to tell. You're a lady.
Definitely
Hi,
not a lady.
Oh, I'm sorry if I caused offense. Hello, person.
Terel looks at Yelena and Kai and just goes, what?
Well,
It is Honeyfest, right? I'm on time. I'm not late or early. That happens sometimes, you know.
Oh, this sounds like he's been before.
and people can get out of its way, surely.
Should we just let him go?
Are we going to be able to stop him?
Oh, probably not.
No, I don't
Well,
want to set him on fire or anything. That'd be mean.
That would be mean.
And the tree says to you, "Oh, what's your name?" "Hi, I'm Pipkin."
What's his name again?
Pipkin, Twig
Pip.
Fingers.
Hi, Pipkin. I'm Terel.
Friends call me Pip.
Pip. Can I call you Pip?
Oh yeah. You're a friend, right? You're not an enemy.
Oh, no. I think we can say that we are definitely friends.
If you were an enemy, I'd have to take you very seriously.
No. I'm Terel. This is Yelena. And this is Kai.
Hello, all of you.
Hello.
I don't normally encourage skipping line, but would you like an apple? I've got candy apples.
Sure.
They're
Why not?
honey. And with a kind of a slow swath of a branch limb, he reveals these candied apples. They're caramel, and it's like a honey caramel, and it's covered in nuts. So if any of you are allergic, it might be problematic.
No.
Do we have any allergies? I don't know if we went that far, really.
Yeah, we didn't roll for allergies specifically.
Roll for allergies.
But this is like a character decision fork where you could decide right now if your character is allergic to nuts.
No.
No. Honey caramel apples? No, I'm definitely not allergic to nuts.
No, but are we sure they're not poisoned, yeah?
Can I do like a medicine check or a nature check on it to check that they're safe?
You know, because it was a little bit creepy that he had some treats to give to the children.
Oh, he is an apple tree. Giving out apples.
Yeah.
It's crazy, I know.
I know nothing.
Terel knows nothing about poison. It's an apple and caramel and nuts.
Can I roll from it?
Yeah, I'm not sure what I think Yelena would be the one who has advantage in detecting poison in this situation.
We'll do that.
With her new new kit skills. But I'm like, what kind of survival? How about survival
We'll do
for
that.
a check?
So I do advantage?
Yes, with advantage for Yelena.
Nice.
Yelena, and even Kai, because Kai comes from the Underdark where, a lot of things get poisoned. I mean, at least half of the things that your mother cooked for dinner were poisonous. So you have a certain understanding of that kind of shit. And as far as you can tell, these don't look poisonous. It looks like it's not going to kill you.
Okay.
But Yelena, you're like, no, this is delicious. Honey caramel coated candy apple. It's beautifully presented. It looks absolutely harmless.
Excellent.
Okay.
Although I'm
Terel
reflecting
scrams the
now
apple.
on the Underdark, I'm like, that's a rough upbringing. Half of your food's poisonous.
So Pip will hand each of you a honey carameled apple, and you could add it to your inventory if you so choose. I think I actually made an item.
Does it have like any healing properties, or is it just like a bit of sugar for when we're
No,
tired?
it's just delicious food.
Okay.
I think the only one who's in danger really from this is Yelena, because she ate so much funnel cake. And you guys just had lunch, so you might be full as well.
Yeah.
So the only risk here is getting a tummy ache, but there's nothing magical about it. And I will say that even without you casting detect magic, it seems to be a green apple. It's very tart, but the caramel is golden and very sweet. And it's expanding your understanding of the universe, because who knew trees could cook?
Okay. Well, can we wrap it in a bit of wax paper and put it in his bags then?
Do you have wax paper?
Do I have wax paper?
If you want, you could get some wax paper off of a booth, but you'd have to slide a hand check to see if you could lift it. You also get Terry to lift it.
Yeah, okay.
You know he has more skills in this department than you do.
So what? Roll a sleight of hand.
Yeah, just roll sleight of hand. If you want to lift some wax paper.
Boom.
Cry it out loud.
Wax paper for everybody.
This is a bum who has been living off of this village for 6 months with no interference. Effortless lifting of the wax paper.
Terel just blinks at this piece of wax paper that miraculously appears in front of her.
It was always yours. You will hear no argument to the contrary. Wrap it around your candy apple. Save it for later. Is anyone eating their candy apple now, or should I just put it all in your inventories? Give everybody a candy apple.
Just in the inventory for
you.
Yeah, same. So I guess we let Pip just go past and let him go to the village and say have fun.
Yeah, and as he gives you the honey cat apple, he's like, remember, plant the core. so the tree can grow later.
Okay.
Spread the
Ooh, good point.
forest. It's all part of nature, man. I mean, I'm sorry. It's all part of nature. Yo? Okay, I think I've given all of you a honey caramel apple. If I haven't, it's because I'm a bad person.
Yep, got one.
I have one.
If you let Pip continue on his way, he gets to the fringes and kind of settles down his roots in between the unicorn rides and the big honey hive at the end of the lane. And he just starts handing out honey caramel apples in a well-ordered line because apparently all of these villagers are British and they know how to they know how to form a queue.
Yeah, we don't have to queue.
We would
Yeah.
do like a good queue.
The queue instantly assembles. And he just hands out these honey carameled apples in that spot between the 1 and the A.
Bless.
And now you're allowed to carry on towards your original destination, which is the make your own potion booth, where you
Yes.
see there's a little bit of smoke kind of clearing in the air over this table specifically, and you see Drusel. His hair is still like very curly, a little bit long, very coiffed. He's back to wearing his blousy linen shirt, very like the pirate shirt sleeve kind of thing, and his multicolored vest that is just absolutely embroidered with colorful flowers from top to bottom, and a little bit of the paunch. And you see that like he's got like some behind the booth. If you peer, you can see that there's like some snacks underneath the booth, some candy and stuff, just for a little pick me up in between helping people. But the table is littered with various flasks and little Bunsen burners and little holders for the different things in between, and various alchemical ingredients. Mirroring what's in your alchemical supplies kit, as well as a few extra fancy ingredients. And it's open for business. And as you approach, Juice is like, "Oh, lovely! It's good to see you. Are you enjoying Honeyfest?"
It's lovely.
Yes. No.
Oh, that's terrible, Kai. What is there specifically like a problem with?
No, I don't want to talk about it. I'll just
self-inflicted.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can't see Kai admitting that.
Well, I hope you feel better.
Yeah. I will do once I get this little bit of business done.
Well, I'll just assume it's a personal issue and not Honeyfest in general. So not my problem.
Fine.
You know, you are just the trio I wanted to see. It's so good you arrived when you did. You may know that we just completed the mead drinking contest.
Yes, we'd heard that.
Yes. I mean,
you cut out.
Bomb nuts. Well, no, it was me specifically looking up the name again because I've already forgotten it. Bomb
Do you know what I was going to say? Yeah, some guy called Butt Clench Money.
Butt Clench won the competition. Yes. But for some reason, Busy Snow Beetle, you know, the one who runs the meadery, who provided all the mead for the contests. For some reason, she saw fit to compete, and she is now completely knackered. Puking in the shrubbery. That's what she's doing. The woman makes mead for a living, and she can't hold her beer.
Well, yeah.
Anyway, I'm short one judge for the baby contest.
Oh.
Actually, I wouldn't mind if I could have 3 judges for the baby contest. That would free me up. Certainly free me up entirely. So, how's about you 3? Could I convince you to judge the beautiful baby contest later?
Well, I feel like a trade might be in order.
Yeah. I was gonna say we'll do the. Well, I'll speak for you two, but I don't mind judging the baby thing if you let me.
It's tomorrow morning, but I think Busy's probably gonna be hungover by then.
Yeah. If you let me use your alchemy stuff to make a potion and maybe help me make
Yes.
something that I need, then
What are you making?
a pansy vine poison, because there's
You need pansy vine poison. What is there pickable?
there is pickable.
Oh dear.
There may have been a pickable disaster somewhere, not caused by any of us three, I have to say, but we do need to sort of get it under
darling,
control.
Kai, my dear boy. Sweet, innocent Kai. No, I'm just kidding. I know you better than that. This is pickable. I would assist you in making poison for pickable for free. But
Lovely.
in exchange for judging the beautiful baby contest, perhaps I would offer you a free, just go crazy at the make your own potion booth here.
Okay.
Just make your own potion, go wild. All three of you have at it. And you can judge the baby, free me up, give me a little break here. Maybe I can go to Shaun's tent and get a good 40 winks in 15 minutes, because I need my beauty sleep. This hair does not style itself.
Sounds like a plan. Do we all agree?
What kind of potions can we whip up in there? I mean, I'm sure there'll be something useful we can do, but just out of curiosity.
Well, that just kind of remains. You're gonna have to roll. You're gonna have to roll to find out exactly what the end result is.
All right,
there
fair
are
enough.
some incredible potions. Kai can tell from his recently certified. I mean, he's got the certificate for being, a junior first class alchemist. He's got the training, and he knows that from seeing the ingredients that are laid on this table that there's some it's not all just run-of-the-mill like lemonade and light heal potions here. That there's potentially, if you play your cards right, you might get something that's pretty cool.
Okay.
All right, yeah.
Or at least useful.
Okay, but as long as we get some pansy vine poison.
Or you might not, but yeah. To kind of save time, I'll just say, with Drusel's assistance, you're able to put together a concoction of poison that sprayed to pansy vine should kill it.
Cool.
But take out not pansy vine, the pickable. Take the pansy vine out of your inventory.
Just one of them, or all three?
All three of it. No more pansy vine.
How do I delete them? Do I just put not?
Put not. There's at the bottom of the page. There's like a little minus sign icon, I think, and it should allow you to delete things. But if that's a problem, I can delete it from your inventory for you.
All right. Yeah. Ah, right. Okay.
Okay, you got it. Cool. No more pansy vine. But I did not create an item for poison, but I will make that because we are nearing the end of this first session of the continuing adventures of you people.
Us people.
I'm making a note to make a pickable poison item for Kai. But making your own potion. I will share a table. All right, I have shared a table. If you go to the table section in your icons on the right, you should see a table called Make Your Own Potion.
It's just popped up on screen.
In which you roll a d20. Yeah, it might have, because when I shared it, it might have popped up for you. Roll. If you hit the roll button, it will roll to see whether or not you're good or bad.
Ooh, I'm not bad.
Terel
I'm
had
bad.
success. Terel, you suck.
Yep.
And Yelena did pretty well. She got lucky. So, for the outcome, I'm gonna for Terel, the failed potion making.
Gotta get something for failing.
Yeah, see, you combine your ingredients, you put them over the candle, add the heat, and after a minute, the alchemy equipment explodes. You were too hot. And there's this puff of noxious gas that emits from where your alchemy equipment used to be in a 10-foot radius. And all of you need to make a constitution save.
Oh, shoot. Sorry, guys.
And I need to roll for Drusel too.
What the chuff?
Not good.
Terel is okay. Some of it. Terel is fine. But
that's
Yelena
awesome.
and Kai, you guys are nauseated for an hour.
Mm.
I don't know if that's an actual effect or what. Let's call it poisoned if that is not a thing. You're poisoned for an hour.
Okay.
And let me double check what poison does to you because, we haven't played D&D for 6 months.
Now, with the poisoner's kit, do I get any sort of saving advantage against that?
No. You know you're
Yeah.
poisoned, though.
Boy, we are so poisoned.
So you have a disadvantage on attack rolls and ability checks for the next hour. The two of you. I will try to remember this.
Mm.
I'm not going to roll it to you guys because I'm going to forget to take it off if I do that, won't I? No, maybe I will. I don't know. Let's do this. I have all these beholder pumpkins in the combat tracker. And that was like hours ago. Okay, I'm going to make Yelena is poisoned. Boop. But remember, after an hour passes, and since we're not in combat, that's going to happen faster than if we were in combat. And Kai is poisoned.
Okay.
And I never rolled for Precious Drusel, so let me pull him out. Where is he? Oh, there he is, because I put Arbiter in front of his name. And it was a con save, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Natty 20, baby!
Yeah.
Yay.
It's not his first explosion of alchemy stuff.
He's seen this before.
He's been here for 4 days, and he just shakes it off at this point.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, that's what happened from the failed potion making. But from the successful potion making, what did you guys get? Golly.
What did we get?
What did we get?
A potion.
Do you want me to roll
Poison
for you? Or do you
removal?
want me to share the things so you can roll for yourselves? Which feels right?
Well, I don't know.
Do you want to be in control of your prizes, or do you want me to just go ahead and do it?
Listen, I'll be in control.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sharing the successful potion making for Kai and Yelena.
Just press roll, yeah?
Press roll. So Kai, you grind your chosen reagents with a mortar and pestle. Combine them in a glass flask. Add a little heat. This was before Terel exploded everything, by the way. Boil, and the solution turns sticky and black. Kai, from your understanding of things and stuff, you recognize that you have concocted oil of slipperiness.
Ah,
I will drag that into your inventory.
thank you.
Boop! Slippery, just like you, Kai.
Yeah.
Yelena, you grind your reagents with a mortar and pestle, combine them in a glass flask, add a little heat boil, and the solution turns blue and bubbles as if boiling. And I've already forgotten what you made,
Underwater breathing?
but I'm double checking. That it's not that.
Oh.
Oh, Yelena has made something crazy and fancy, and it's quite by accident. She has concocted a potion of heroism.
Ooh.
Ooh.
So I drag that to your inventory. These things should not be, I mean, they should be identified. So if your potion is not identified, please tell me, and I will identify it for you.
Looks like it's identified to me.
Mm-hmm. It's fine.
Alrighty. So you've made your potion, but your lives are indebted to be judges of a baby contest the next day of Honeyfest.
Woohoo!
And that is where we will end the session.
Mm.
Now, up to you guys. We could continue and have you guys have an opportunity to investigate something in the afternoon of this day. Or we could skip ahead the next time we play next month to the morning of Highharvestide, where you could explore something, but you also have to judge the baby contest.
I mean, it depends on if you've got it all planned, really.
There's potential for everything. So
Did anyone else freaking out about the apple, the tree dude? Has he made his way into the grounds yet?
The apple tree thing?
Yeah.
Well, the you know that Pip has been handing out the candied apples. He stays for about an hour.
Oh, okay, good.
And so you make your potions, and after you make your potions, having your pickable poison now, which I will make and put into Kai's inventory. If you wander back that way just to see how things are going, Pip is still there in the time you've taken to conjure potions, but shortly after, he takes his leave and starts moving back toward the forest. So he hangs out, he gives out 100 candied apples and then leaves.
That's nice.
Waves off, encourages everybody he gives an apple to plant the seeds.
Okay, so we have to remember to do that.
Mm.
And we should plant the seeds with the acorn.
That was mine. Wanted the acorn.
The golden acorn.
The golden acorn.
Yeah.
Do we know what that is yet? No.
No, the Hamadryad gave it to me, or the Dryad.
You just know that it protects you if you travel to and fro the Feywild.
Oh. So it's not plantable.
But anything else about it, you don't know. You just know you haven't successfully planted it yet, but you don't know that it's impossible to successfully plant. You've only tried planting it here, like in this, under normal dirt situations.
Yeah.
That's a phrase I never thought I would say. Normal dirt situations. So as we bring this session to a close, you've made it through a little more than half of a day, the next to last day of Honeyfest. Some of you have lost money. Some of you have had.
Blown the other party members up.
You've had amazing encounters with things that few people encounter in their lifetime. Some of you have talked with unicorns, and some of you are richer for your experience, while others are far poorer. But as you can tell from wandering around the Honeyfest, the world is your oyster, and not everything is necessarily as it seems, But there is a lot of joy and fun to be had. And 2 of you have raffle tickets. So here's
Ooh,
hoping
yeah.
that on the morrow you find that you are lucky people. And by no means is the raffle closed. It's not closed until lunchtime on Highharvestide. So you still have a little bit of wiggle room. I think Yelena is the only person who hasn't bought a ticket.
I guess, yeah.
And you can buy more than one ticket. And
That's true.
raffles are a form of gambling.
I've lost enough gold. If I can recoup some from Terry,
I mean,
then maybe.
how much are winged boots worth? It's like a whole outfit and stuff. I mean, you could come out a profit if you get the money from Terry and you get winged boots. You come out ahead.
It's true.
You can make gambling work for you still, Kai. It's a possibility.
I'll have a think.
All right. I think that's everything. And we will close out. And if I've forgotten anything or I remember something in the process of listening, I will certainly message you later.
Okay.
Lovely jubbly.
But think about what stuff you might want to and think about what you have encountered so far today and what things you might want to pick up next time we visit Honeyfest.
Okie doke. Lovely. Thank you very much, Bonnie.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thanks for joining it.
Wonderful.
And
Thank
for
you.
anybody who's been watching us on Twitch, thank you. Hope you
Mhm.
enjoyed Honeyfest.
Please join us for
Yay!
part 2. Yay!
Please join us for part 2. Whee!
Hey, we remembered how to roll the dice.
We can roll dice in fantasy
Yay.
rounds. It's amazing. We can look at pictures or something. We didn't go to combat, but honestly, it's too soon. It's too soon. I've got to watch tutorials or something.
Yeah. No, I think we did all right there. Apart from losing money.
Losing all
me
the
blowing
money.
you up.
Blowing everyone up. Yay! Bye.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.